Hey folks, Craig Levati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I'm hanging out with one of my best friends here. This is the Associate Curator, David Temple of the Morian Paleontology Hall. Now, you're an amazing person.
I'm amazed that you think that.
You
but
are.
Anyway.
You are. Sorry. And every time I walk through, I always listen to all the strangest questions that I hear little kids ask their parents.
And they say the darndest things.
They really do. And you get to listen to a lot of these questions. And so
I do.
I'm going to ask you some of the questions that I've overheard.
Okay, shoot.
What is the oldest thing in the Paleo Hall? What is the oldest thing in the Paleo Hall?
Okay, the Paleo Hall, it's going to be our Strelypool stromatolites, which are stromatolites are a very sort of primitive life form, kind of like algae, I guess you could say. They're still alive today in certain places. Texas has some amazing ones. They're not as old as the ones that we have on display, but ours are about 3.4 billion.
Wow.
So that's the oldest thing that's in the Paleo Hall.
In the Paleo Hall. Okay. Which dinosaurs are real?
Get that all the time. And this is a tricky question, but I think it's important that the public know this. That they're actually all real. So what you're saying is which ones are original fossils. So they're all real. So the ones that we have that are casts, that dinosaur exists. It's at another museum. And like dinosaurs, they're unique. There's only one. So there's only one stand. If you want to see the original stand, you got to go to Hill City, South Dakota. But museums do trade cast copies, high quality casting copies, and some of ours are cast and some of them are real. A quick way to tell is if you look at the bone and the mount. So if the mount, if the bones are cradled individually, then those are original fossils. And you can do things with casts that you can't do with the original fossils. You can have very dynamic poses. You can have them on one foot. You can have them jumping. You can do that with a cast. You can't really do that with the real bone because it's very heavy and it's very delicate. So it's fragile. So that's the quickest way to tell. Look at the mount. But all of these dinosaurs are real. They're just not right here.
Exactly.
Right.
This is my favorite one. Maybe I even made this one up. What would dinosaurs taste like?
That's a great question. Believe it or not, I've gotten that one before. And the pat answer, the funny answer is chicken.
Chicken.
I mean, Bob Bacher has a funny thing where he says all a T-Rex is it's a 7-ton pissed off chicken. That's how he refers to T-Rex.
Yeah.
But reality is we know they're closely related to birds, and birds have a lot of different flavors. So pheasant is different from chicken, which is different from ostrich.
Turkey.
So. And the closest one of all of those probably would be ostrich. And you can eat ostrich in Houston. There's a lot of restaurants that have that. I'm just going to throw one plug out there. I'll probably get in trouble for this. Sammy's Wild Food Grill.
That's right.
They have great ostrich. You can also, I think you can get alligator there, which would be an archosaur, which would be really close. And they have python chili. They've got, you can eat your way through all the different animal orders.
We could actually sell like dinosaur meat in the museum store.
Yes, you could, but I don't know how you're going to put this on the label. But because it's very important that you put this on the label.
Exactly.
So, I mean, how do you represent that? This is dinosaur meat.
I eat dinosaur meat, but that's just me.
Who wouldn't? I mean, would you smoke it? Would you grill it? Would you use a
barbecue
vinegar
guys
marinade?
out there? Get Ronnie Killen, Grant Pinkerton to make us some dinosaur meat.
Yeah, they could.
Right. Dinosaur brisket.
Dinosaur brisket.
Were there dinosaurs in Houston?
No.
No.
Okay, there were probably dinosaurs in Houston, but to get to the dinosaurs in Houston, you would have to go down thousands and thousands and thousands of feet. And actually, Houston at that time, the Cretaceous, was underwater. So if there was a dinosaur here, it was a dead, bloated, floating dinosaur.
Okay.
But we do have fossils, and before they paved the bayous, stuff washed out all the time, and we have some of those things on display here. So you'll see huge armadillos. You see elephants. We had mammoths and mastodons both here.
Oh.
We had saber cats. So we have a Xenosmilus represented as a cast in the hall, and they found pieces of Xenosmilus in Houston or in Harris County. So we would have had a very rich fossil fauna, but no dinosaurs.
It's far, far down.
Far, far down.
Okay.
But if you go to Austin, you go to or West Texas is the best place to find dinosaurs outcropping in Texas.
So you will not find dinosaur bones in your backyard.
No, and I once got in a huge argument with a child who insisted that dinosaurs were in Houston. He had proof. He found them in his backyard. It was very ugly. It was a public talk. He kept interrupting me. It was uncomfortable. And then I found out later after the talk that little Timmy, I don't remember his real name, but we'll call him Little Timmy. Little Timmy actually was finding dinosaur bones in his backyard, but only because his parents were burying them there for him.
Wow.
So he wasn't incorrect.
So that's good parenting, but also kind of weird.
Right. So you can't, let's put it this way. You can find dinosaur bones in Houston, in the Houston area lawns, but they didn't live here.
Okay.
So they got here through some other means.
Okay. Aliens.
Could be aliens.
So
yeah.
that's a whole other department.
Yeah.
What are some of the strangest things that people have brought in here to you to look at?
That's one of my jobs. I've done this at the museum for many years. In fact, I gave myself the title of the director of the Department of Mysteries, which has not been sanctioned. It doesn't actually exist except in my head. And every time I bring that up, I either get stony silence or a sound no, not happening. But I do get all the weird questions and things that people come in. And I've had many, many unusual things that are brought in. Many times it's not anything that's worthy, or it's mistaken identity. Most common things that people bring in, and I've had some in the last 2 days, people have been asking me about, are dinosaur eggs. So everybody finds dinosaur eggs. It's not a dinosaur egg. You found a rock that looks like an egg.
Okay. But
sometimes it's really weird. So it's proof of alien technology. A guy once brought in what he believed to be the soul, the living essence of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, brought it in on a huge trailer. I've also had a woman that had a trilobite that was, I thought it was like going to be a larval insect, and I love entomology, and I'm like, oh, bring it in. I thought it was going to be a great teaching moment. She sat down, and when I asked to see the specimen, she slid x-rays across the table, and it was living in her body. And she could feel it moving around, and it would affect her blood sugar, and anyway, but it wasn't living in her body. And what we actually did is I took her x-rays, and I have a friend of mine that does x-ray interpretation. He's a doctor. And so I took a picture of it, shot it over to him just in real time with her sitting there. And there was a structure in the x-ray that looked a lot like a trilobite cephalon, the head of one. I mean, remarkably like it. So it wasn't, she saw this and knew that trilobite said something that looked like that. Turns out it was gas.
Oh, wow.
And of course the gas bubbles do move around in your intestines, and so she interpreted that to be that the thing was living and moving inside of her intestines. And her intentions were stellar, because she knew if this thing was a living trilobite that was in her body, it was probably the only one, and it was very important to science, and that stuff needed to be in a museum.
And it could have been over here somewhere.
It could have been over there. Of course, we'd had to put it in a cage because it would,
trilobites,
they crawl around.
What do they eat?
Trilobites, there's several thoughts about that. Probably they were detritivores, so kind of like what a crayfish eats. And incidentally, they probably would have tasted a lot like a shrimp or a crayfish as well. I think most people in this part of Texas and Louisiana, you tend to just, whatever you look at, that's one of your questions. So what is it? What does it taste like? How do you cook it?
Yeah, that's all I wanted. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I was like, I want to eat a dinosaur. How do I eat it?
Yeah.
There you go.
So you need a time machine.
There we go.
Or just to go to some place that serves ostrich. I guess if you did like a turducken, so you could take the chicken, the turkey, the ostrich, the alligator, mix it all up into one thing, and serve it as a burger or something. That's our dinosaur meat. That's a dinosaur burger.
Food
that's
trucks.
Food that could be a food. That could be a food thing. Yeah.
Food trucks. If you want to come here and make a turducken, that's fine. With
but it would be a chicken, turkey, ostrich, gator thing. I don't know. We got to come up with a snappy name.
Yeah, we'll come up with it. You guys, ad wizards out there, come up with something for me. David Temple, everybody, give him a round of applause. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for putting up with this. And let's make this a normal thing. I love asking you silly questions.
Well, and we'll have silly things that'll come up, and we can maybe bring you in on the front end.
Oh, no. Yes.
So that'll be good.
Come see him in the Paleontology Hall.